May the words of my mouth and the meditation of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. Amen. When it was evening on that day, the first day of the week, what a day it had been. That morning started early, at dawn. Mary had gone to the tomb, found the stone removed, and went to tell Peter. Peter and the other disciple ran and found the tomb empty and returned to their homes. Mary stayed, talked to the angel, and then, having mistaken Jesus for the gardener, got to speak to him. He spoke the words, Mary. One word, and she recognized him. And he told her, go to my brothers and say to them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, my God and your God. And she left. It is assumed, and I believe that she probably did, being the person that she was, went and told the brothers that she had seen Jesus and that he was ascending. I doubt that that was very much believed. That was still early in the morning. The day goes by, and surely the word has gotten around Jerusalem. Jesus is not in the tomb. The thing feared by the Romans, but he wasn't there. When it was evening on that day, just a few hours later, and the doors of the house where the disciples had met were locked in fear of the Jews, I have tried to imagine what it would have been like in that room. I am sure there was fear. Fear, and a lot of it. Yes, they were afraid of the Jews. The Jews are the ones who hollered, crucify him, crucify him. They were also afraid of the Romans because they were the ones who actually did the dirty deed. They crucified him. And they were afraid that they might be associated with Jesus. And because that association, they also might be tried and executed. Peter, remember when he was asked, weren't you with him in the garden? I do not know the man. Aren't you one of his disciples? I do not know the man. And they might have been somewhat concerned about Jesus. They hadn't talked to him. The words Mary told him to tell them probably weren't believed. They were friendly words. But one of them had betrayed him, another had denied him several times, and the rest of him had abandoned him. They might be a little apprehensive that Jesus was going to come. What would they say? How would he feel? That room must have been very, very tense. And then he comes. There was no knock. Bang, bang, bang. Here, I'm Jesus. Would you like to let me in? He just shows up. right through the door. I can't imagine. I have tried and tried, but I cannot imagine what that would have been like. But he says, the very first word that he says, peace be with you. This was not peace, I hope you're happy, smile. It was more of be at peace. Be at peace. A word of reconciliation. I'm not angry. Peace. Be reconciled to me. And then come the faithful words. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. I doubt that's what they expected. As the Father sent me, so I send you. Here you are behind locked doors. You can't be sent. You've locked yourself in. You've got to open these doors. And I send you. Go. Get the blankety blank out of here. You're not accomplishing what you are supposed to be accomplishing. You're worried about your souls. You're fearful. I have shown you that there is something beyond death. I have removed your fear. Go. Go. On Good Friday, I normally end with a story about Jesus getting to heaven and asking what plan he left for people on earth to remember him, what he did and what he taught. And he said, well, I had Peter, James, John, and a few others. They will tell the story. And in turn, those who hear it will tell the story until the world knows. Behind those locked doors, they can tell no story. There's nobody to tell it to. And he's telling them to get out. Go. Do as I did. The Father sent me, and I went out, and I was with the people, and I bore the evidence of it. It's your turn. You need to go. One of the commentators I came across talked about the fear in that room. The atmosphere in the room was that Jesus wasn't the only one hanged on the cross on Good Friday. There was more than one death. There was a different sort of execution. The death of hope. The death of belief. But when Jesus came and stood there, he left no doubt that he had indeed triumphed over death. A week later, they met again. And this time, Thomas was with them. I think Thomas got a bad handle. He became doubting Thomas. And I don't believe that he earned that. He did say, unless I see the marks of the nails in his hands, and put my finger in the mark of the nails, in my hand in his side, I will not believe. He had to see it. But if you go back to the first part of the lesson, one of the first things Jesus did, he came in and said, "Peace be with you." After this, he showed them his hands and his side. The rest of the disciples immediately were shown. After the word peace, they saw the marks in his hands and in his side. They didn't believe till then. That's something that is just unbelievably hard to believe. They had no gospel stories to read to tell them what was going to happen. And resurrection from the dead had never been heard of before. I came across a couple, I love to read, and I came across a few more. People who have come to terms with Jesus, who have his peace, may have only added to their troubles. Certainly, they will not be exempt from hurt. They won't be. When you're called, you go, regardless of the price. They are willing to risk the pain that following him, Jesus, may bring. And another one talks about when you finally meet your Maker. When you finally get to the final judgment, the judge will ask you, "Where are your wounds?" If you haven't any, he will say, "Was there nothing worth fighting for?" Those are questions we need to think about. Do we have our pains? Are we willing to suffer pains to follow Jesus? And I want to give you something else to think about over the next 40-some days as we go through Easter season to Pentecost. Mary. Mary was the one who went to the tomb first and told the others. She returned and talked with Jesus. When I got through reading this gospel lesson umpteen times, I began to realize, wait a minute, Mary is not in this gospel lesson. She's not. As we go through this Easter season, we will be reading about the disciples, Pentecost, and whatnot. Pay attention. See if you can find Mary. If you can find her, let me know. I haven't yet. And for the woman who was so brave as to go to the tomb the very first time, what happened? And why? As food for thought. Amen.